Everyone, I hope you're well. So this video is for those that are on a divine path. You may or may not be at the same stage as I'm at on this path, but so if you beyond or at the same stage, it'll probably resonate. If you're not there yet, it might not resonate. But anyway, it's up to you if you watch the video or not. I hope it helps in some way. So I just came here today to talk about the energy that we're in right now. So we're in really good energy, right? Really high energy. This energy is 0 point. So it's what happens is when you're on the divine path, let me just explain it so you can see all things together. So what happens is you start a journey, and the journey takes you up a hill, basically, and it's an arc of experience, all right. So as you go up the hill, you experience a lot of dark scenarios, dark situations, dark relationships, dark energy in all sorts of forms. Very debilitating, very fearful, very traumatic, very disruptive, very upsetting, hurtful, harmful, painful, being victimised, being bullied, being treated like shit, not getting what you need emotionally, not getting the love you need. This kind of stuff all goes on this side of the arc. And basically what you're doing is you're extinguishing. If you're on a divine path, your main purpose for being here incarnated is to change dark to light. So through your experiences, you experience dark scenarios and you change them to light through what goes on inside of you energetically. So you don't get dragged down by these events. All right, because you have an inner knowing. This is how you experience it. You have an inner knowing that there is more, all right, and that life is meant to be better than this, and that love does exist, despite the fact that you might not experience too much love, and despite the fact that you go through a lot of dark. You could be narcissistic interactions, relationships, situations, things like that. But you're very resilient. When you're of divine energy, it's really powerful energy, so you're really resilient against all these dark attacks, okay? Yes, it will get you down and you will be victimised and you will feel victimised, but also you will always bounce back, okay? Because you have a purpose of being here that is beyond your, whatever it is you're experiencing in your human life. So another thing that happens on this dark side of the arc is that you go from the mundane physical experience of being a human being to a higher evolutionary experience of understanding that you're actually not human. You're an energetic being existing or presenting through a human figure just for a limited amount of time to have this experience. So from the bottom of this arc down here where you're incarnated, right, is very different by the time you get to the top of your own personal arc, because by the time you get to the top of your own personal arc, because you're divine energy incarnate, you will have experienced significant, like if you want to call it spiritual or psychic events, synchronicities, witnessing through the veil, so psychic experience, say claircognizance, which is clear knowing, clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience, highly empathic states, outer body experiences, that kind of stuff. All these, any and all of these, or a combination you experience, which takes you to a higher point on this arc where you are allowed to see behind the veil, see beyond your human experience, witness your own ego, and which is also when you witness your own ego and you see beyond the veil. Seeing beyond the veil, feminine energy is a higher energy, so that's the feminine, right? And ego is the lower energy, the darker energy, so that is the masculine energy. So you're able then to witness the interplay of dark and light in the physical world and through yourself. When you're it goes on forever, this, doesn't it, right? So when you're on a divine journey, the thing is that you're here for a purpose that is not a human experience, basically. So how to explain it? Right. So a human experience alone, right, would be a life that starts with being born, having a life, right, getting married, having some kids, buying a house, maybe buying a car, having a job, and dying, something like that, having grandkids, dying. Now, it could be a very mundane life, right, with not much going on, or just very easy and not very traumatic, or it could be quite pleasant, or it could be, it could also be, just a bit normal, really. And never seeing beyond the veil, never having an opportunity to see or witness or experience events that show you that there's more to us than meets the eye. But the very purpose of the very purpose of a divine incarnate, right, is to transmute dark energy to light. So if this is your life path, you will experience around you dark events, like I say. So your life will be a roller coaster. It'll have high highs, it'll have low lows, and of emotion and significant events. Experiencing people close to you dying, suicides, this kind of stuff. Not your own, but other people's, perhaps. And the loss of loved ones, a lot of emotional pain, but also experiencing highly narcissistic people, all kinds of narcissists as well. Like the whole plethora, the whole every category of narcissist and beyond, because I do believe there's more than the 5. There's it's an energy after all, so it can mutate and expand and twirl itself into different apparitions of. Anyway, that's another story. But you will experience all this stuff, right? Highs and lows, extreme highs and lows. And outside of you in your life, what appears to be your physical life, because of course it's only an illusion, we're not really real, but you'll also experience coming through you. So you'll experience your emotional state as being great lows and great highs. What some people might call, if they're more, if they don't see beyond the veil and they're only seeing it from a human perspective, they'd call it bipolar, or they might call it, what's the other one, manic depressive. I think it's the same thing. They might give it one of those names, but basically it is an energetic state of transmuting dark to light. So by experiencing dark energy coming through, you transform it into lighter energy. So you'll experience great lows from within yourself and great highs from within yourself as well. So that all happens on this side of the arc, right? And then as you move through that experience, like I say, you get to the top and you become the witness at the top. So it's like you mutate through this experience of transforming dark to light into your higher self incarnate, basically. So you become highly aligned with your external self, right? Your guides, whether that be Pleiadian, Arcturian, or a combination. You become highly aligned with them, and you facilitate your human experience then through that association and that understanding. So all the victim, once you get to the top of this arc, right, all your victim state and the belief that life is terrible and can only produce a bad result because that's what you've experienced, drops away, and your understanding that you only experience that so that you can move through that experience and change it, because you're changing dark to light, is the understanding that you come into. So therefore you facilitate a process of letting go of your human experience, right? This is the first stage of ascending the arc, is the letting go of the understanding that you're only a human being. And basically, once you're at the top of this arc, you come to 0 point. So the arc contains, on this side, it would be masculine energy because it's a dark lower energy of the ego state, which is only belief in a human realm being the only real thing. Beyond the 0 point at the top, we have feminine energy on the other side of the arc. So this is the understanding that we're not actually human at all. The ego is only fear existing within the matrix of the 3rd dimension. And the truth is that love is the predominant ruling energy of everything, because dark is created from light. And that if you move into an energy of having no fear, you will not have to experience fearful events, because they won't appear, they won't manifest into the physical matrix, that dimension, because you will have chosen love over fear. And again, ego being fear and 5th dimensional feminine energy being love, right? So it's basically, you could say, I'm going to write it down. There's my list for things I have to do in my house. You could say that this way so you can see. Can you see that? Right, so you've got an arc like this. The divine arc of experience. And on this side, I'll just write it down. This is masculine energy, right, which is the same as dark. This is the way people describe things, all right, but it's all the same thing. Egoic, 3D, third dimensional, matrix, non-reality, appearing real, and mainly I would say fear. It's fear, and it's a sense of lack. All right, so it's this belief mainly, because everything's energy, right? So energy is not just, energy is your feelings and your thoughts and energy itself, right? Because these are energetic things. But the fear and the lack is mainly what it is. So it's a belief that, it's a belief in fear. How can I say that? It's a belief that because this reality is real, right, the third dimension, so your time from birth, to death, or what appears to be death, right, because it's egoic and it's a lower realm, it's third dimension, right? It's the matrix, it's a reality appearing real that isn't real. It's the belief that your experience as you incarnate from birth to death, right, is your only, what's underlying it is the belief that that is your only experience and that beyond that there is nothing. So within that belief that you only exist from your physical birth to your physical death is a fear, right? And the fear is around anything that you experience in that time frame that appears to be real. But not only that, it's a fear that really the fear comes from, therefore, that nothing else will happen, right? That if it's, say you've had an experience in the past with a narcissist, right? You fear that because you've had that, that's the only experience you'll ever have in relationship. Or say you've had you were even bullied or abused, and your fear is that that will just repeat and repeat for you because that's the experience you've had, right? But once you reach the top of this arc and you're allowed to become the witness to your physical existence, right, from your higher self, the knowledge that you've only incarnated to have those experiences so that you can transform them to dark to light, allows you to let go of this false belief, right, that is the only experience that's possible, and move into the higher energy over here, which is a feminine energy. So we've got feminine, light. We've got, instead of egoic, it is higher self. So it's from beyond the ego. What else we've got? Fifth dimension. Matrix. You could say that this is beyond matrix. So what would that be? That'd be like beyond the veil or something. And non-reality appearing real. This is the truth. All right. So fifth dimensional energy is the truth. The truth is love. Basically, it's the same thing. And within that, I mean, you might say, well, truth isn't love. But the reason it is love is because the only thing that's important, right, is love. That's why it's the truth. Everything else, fear, is the opposite of love. And fear is not important. So it's like getting your priorities right, really, is the truth as well. There's love, non-judgment. There is non-judgment, freedom, Because once you're not judging anyone, you're in freedom. And once you're not judging, you're also loving. So it's not like we're not talking about a lower echelon of love, say codependency or passive aggressiveness or romance. We're talking about higher feelings, basically, which is just so basically it's freedom. It's not attaching any requirement to love. So you've got that on the other side, right? Basically. So what was I saying? So this energy right now, okay, we're at the top of this arc. This is what the energy is like right now. It's 0 point. So we're in a perfect balance between these two aspects of existence, right? Where we're allowed to see through the veil, we're allowed to see that the fear is not the truth, right? Where we're allowed to experience beyond the matrix. So, like I said, we have experiences that prove that, because the synchronicities that you get, coincidences that can't possibly be coincidences because they're just so extraordinary, are in fact events that show you that through the matrix, that anything can come through the matrix because it's not really real. Those things happening around now, like I said, are very, very prevalent right now. But within this, right, this field of experience, that's this 0 point, which you can also say is 0 point is the perfect balance of masculine and feminine. It is it's moments of clarity. It's a moment of freedom, because you're literally at a tipping point where, the feminine energy that's on this side of the arc is freedom, and it's higher feelings. So also there's a lot of experience of higher feelings in the time that we're in right now. Now, this is where I'm going with this, right? So basically at this tipping point, this crossover point at the top of the arc, so you go as a divine energy incarnate, divine, right? Incarnate. This is like you are, people talk about Archangel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, all this kind of stuff, and bringing them in to do like house clearings and clear spaces and all this kind of stuff. Well, you're practically the same as that if you incarnate. So this experience that you go through, this clearing dark energy, is the same thing that anybody who would be on a karmic path, for example, and not of a divine incarnate energy, would be bringing in archangels to do the clearing, right? Or call it, but you do that yourself as an incarnate. So you clear dark energies, just the same as people that call those energies in. You don't need to call them in. You're doing it yourself. That's something I just want to say. So you wouldn't need to. This is why a lot of divines incarnate, or most of them, all of them, will be asked to live by their, their soul will ask them. So they'll feel an urge, in whatever way they're propelled there by their higher selves and their guides, to go and live in certain places, certain locations where they're clearing dark energy, right? Where they will experience, like I said, these lower experiences. It's not random and it's not coming out of the blue. It's because it's your service and it's your work. You come here to do energetic work of clearing dark energy, right? And that's another thing you need to know. It's an energetic work that you do. It's not random events. And it's also your predominant work, all right? So it's like, it's not a side dish. It's the main course. All right, so it's like, how you have this life going on. It's like in your life, all this stuff is going on, like narcissists and trauma and abuse and bullying and da-da-da. And everybody else just seems to be sailing through their life. And they're getting on with what appears to be real stuff in the physical dimension. So I remember when I was younger and I had loads of friends that got really good jobs and started to make loads of money, and they got married and they had kids and they got cars, and I was just experiencing all this dark stuff, and I was like, well, when's my life going to start? And it just never did. I just continued experiencing this dark stuff and really high highs and really low lows within myself. And the thing you have to understand, if you're a divine incarnate, is that is your job. this work is your job. So you won't have a normal life like other people. That is just only a matrix, you know, what appears to be, like I say, a good experience of living here and being this birth to death experience within the matrix. You won't have that because you're here to do this energetic work. So your experience will be completely different, and it will maybe appear to you before you get to this point of being highly aligned with your higher self and seeing from beyond the veil why you're here. It might appear like you're being your whole life is a victim. You're a victim your whole life because you're not having the things that other people have. But the thing is, it's not that at all. Because once you get to the top of this arc, right, and you become the witness to your own experience, and you're highly aligned with your higher self, and whatever other beings that are also aligned with your higher self that serve you being here and assist you being here, that might talk to you through your clairaudience, your clairvoyance, your claircognizance, you then move through to this experience, which is a very, very light experience, where it's only light, in fact. So at some point, this is all negated. The energy clearing that you have to do, that's the hard work, is negated by a higher experience on this side as you come down this side of the arc, which is not hard work, right? Which is not all this hard energetic work of having to go through these dark experiences. It's a much easier ride, basically, on the downside. But I don't want to go into that too much. But the thing is, right now, this energy we're in right now, like I said, this is also about destiny, all right? When you get to a 0 point like this, it's about destiny. And in terms of that, we could be talking about destined events, right? Destined events happening. So things coming out of the blue. Because like I say, right, well, have I said? So basically, because the fifth dimensional energy, which is the truth, right? Which is that this third dimensional existence, your birth to death experience, is not in fact real. It's only something that you're experiencing from beyond your physical self. Means that anything can appear in your physical life within the matrix once we are in this kind of energy, all right, this perfect balance of masculine and feminine. It means that things can appear in your physical life that might seem like a miracle, all right, for example. Miracle energy is what we're in, because the veil is thinned in all sorts of ways. So it's not only your experience of seeing beyond the veil and witnessing synchronicities, but it's also destined events that can be just kind of pushed through the veil of illusion and appear into the physical world. All right, so that could be happening as well. Things that appear like miracles happening in this time frame that we're in right now. All right, and this has been going on for, I would say, 3 to 3.5 weeks, and I don't know when it's going to end. So I haven't looked into that. I mean, I don't know. When it ends when it ends, right? We can't know everything. So I don't actually want to know everything. All right, so, and that's another thing that I'll go into. So it's a time of destined events, miracles occurring for divine incarnates, all right? Because the thing is that this is what happens in your life. So those people that have the lives that appear like, oh, they're doing really well in life, right? Do not fear, basically. Do not fear, because what happens in your life are miracles and destined events that lead you to more light eventually in your life, which is all around love, truth, non-judgment, freedom, higher feelings of love, freedom, basically, freedom from the matrix, freedom from the fear and the lack and the ego, right? Fear, because the ego is fear itself, basically. It's the fear that if I don't get all this done before I die, my life will be shit. And so far, nothing's happened in my life apart from shit. So I should fear even more, all right? But the knowledge when you get to the top of the Arc is actually, this is just a limited human experience. I have no fear of death anymore. Death doesn't even really exist. I will just transform into higher energy. I will leave my physical body. I will then regroup with my guides and I'll have a debriefing, and then who knows what happens next, because we can't know everything, and nor should we want to. But basically, where am I again? Right, so yeah, destined events, miracles occurring. And the other thing about this energy that we're in right now, because this is a tipping point, all right? This is a tipping point. It means that there is a lot to be asked in this energy. Okay, now you might think, as a divine incarnate, that you have come through this experience and you've come through it randomly, and you've come through it, you might have felt like you've been pushed and bullied and victimized through your experience. You might feel like you've been really hard done by. Of course, by the time you get to the top and you're aligned with your higher self and you're seeing it from that, beyond that understanding, you're seeing from beyond the egoic perspective, basically, that you will have let go of a lot of that victim mentality, all right, and a lot of that fear of death, and a lot of that fear of your life not being a full life, because you'll understand there's more. But this point, because like everything, oh God, I've got to talk about this now. Everything in existence is made up of masculine and feminine, right? So it's made up of this experience and it's made up of this experience. So that means that you could, for example, one day, because you transmute dark to light, it's your living purpose, right? You could one day be heavily filtering through your ego aspect. So you could be enshrouded in dark energy. You could be in absolute non-belief of higher energy existing, all right? Because you could have tipped all the way down into this dark egoic energy. And then you clear all that, you see, because like I said, your experience is clearing dark energy, come out of it and you tip right into this high feminine light energy, which is also about creativity, I might add. And you have absolute faith and trust and belief that the only thing that is of any importance or even exists is and fuels every experience is love. So even your dark, heavy egoic experiences are actually fueled by love, because you're a divine incarnate. So you'll have moments where you have absolute truth, you have absolute trust and belief in that, right? But this is normally a tipping backwards and forwards, this experience, because again, it's the dark to light. So it goes on in you and outside of you, right? This energy that we're in right now, which is a perfect balance of dark to light, right? A perfect balance between the masculine and the feminine, a tipping point. So we're able to see through the veil even more. We're able to, it's also like there's peace and there's calm in this energy that we're in, because it's an energy of that complete balance. So you're not going down into a purge where you purge in the dark, and you're not going up to a high where you're losing your groundedness maybe, and you're losing your ability to function within the physical world, because you're like, maybe, I mean, the highest high of the feminine would be, say, an active meditation or an out-of-body experience where you leave your physical body completely, and therefore you're not in it, and you don't have to, it's all this egoic energy is disregarded completely. It's not that. The energy we're in, it's like we're able to see both sides of the coin, right? So when it's like that, okay, there are these things that can happen, destined events, miracles occurring, that kind of stuff. But there's also a lot of letting go that goes on, or is being asked of you, basically. Because to move completely, like your personal arc of experience as a divine incarnate, to move completely from your dark, lower evolutionary experience to your higher creative feminine experience from beyond the physical realm, example, calling it that, would mean that you let go completely, right? So the work of letting go is where we're really at right now in this this hold point up here. I'm going to start a new sheet of paper. Let's put that one somewhere. You can see it perhaps. Right, so no, I have to move it because I've got to do this one. Right, so what's really here at the top of this arc right now, I feel, and I'm being told, as a guiding factor, right, is letting go. The work of letting go. Now, there will be, this is the work of, there will be at certain times in the life of a divine incarnate where letting go occurs. Now, that letting go will occur when you move from a dark egoic experience and purging the darkness to rising into higher energy and having out-of-body experiences and attaching to your higher self and filtering only through the perspective of your higher self. So there will be moments of letting go that are not facilitated by you. All right, it will just happen. A feeling of release, freedom, that kind of stuff. But to move fully into this scenario, into the lighter scenario, involves work, right? Soul work. So also in this moment we have here not just the destined events and the miracles occurring, but we have lessons. We have soul lessons. So every lesson that you experience is brought, you bring it to yourself, right? Your higher self brings the lessons in for you when you're ready. So this won't be for everyone either. Some people might be at a point where they're getting a destined event or a miracle occurring because this lesson's been done. For me, this is a lesson that I'm going through right now. So this is a lesson that's occurring, which is why I say at the beginning of the video, it's not going to be for everyone. Some people will be past this arc of experience and some people will be before it. Or some people be right on it. All right. And I just did, like I say, a reading for someone. They're right on it as well. They're having this. They're having this, and also these points of energy repeat. All right. So we do hit this energy collectively, repeatedly. Right. It's like it goes up and then it goes down again. It goes up, it goes down, and this is the old timeline. I just got to talk about this again now. This, right, so this is the old timeline. This is also, let's put it on here. This energy over here, this is also the dark, let's call it the dark manipulation of the human race. Right, this is also the patriarchy. This stands for old religions. This stands for corporations, governments. This stands for any kind of collective abuse as well, because remember, this is all about abuse on this side. It's all about abuse and terror and trauma and bullying and lies as well. It's all about lies. That's why this is truth, all right, because this is lies. So it's people feeding you lies as a young person, you know, that you're a bad person, that you should be ashamed of yourself, that you're unworthy. Right, and here we have collective lies. So this is like telling groups of people that they're unworthy, right? This is telling certain cultures that they're unworthy. The First Nations, for example, right? As we see with the rise of the feminine, we had the rise of the First Nations as well, bringing themselves back into power on the grid. This kind of stuff. So it's because it's the rise of the feminine, right? So yeah, we've got all this here, right? The dark masculine manipulation of the human race. We've also got war, that kind of stuff. Four horsemen of the apocalypse kind of stuff, right? Here. So you've got war, famine, pestilence, disease, death, right? All this stuff. And all these things as well, when you know, saying them, you've got to remember, right, fear is something that you must not be afraid of. So fear itself is something to be the witness of and to not allow yourself to be afraid of. Because when I say things like dark manipulation of the human race or 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, when you hear things like that, doesn't matter where you hear them from, you just notice what happens within your physical body and your energetic body. And if you start to feel reverberations of fear or prickles on the back of your neck or anything like that, and that's just something to be aware of, because it's something to be let go of, all right? So any connotations, like if I was to say demon, right, notice what happens in your physical body, or devil or something like that. This is all to be let go of, all right? All of this, all the belief that this has any power has to be let go of, all right? So again, like I'm saying, the work of letting go, it's the work of letting go of anything in your personal life around victimhood, but also the work of letting go of anything that is energetic around fear itself, all right? So don't let anything scare you, okay? Because it's really important work to let go of being scared by words, right, and things that are said like that, because fear only has the ability to control us if we give it the power to control us and we believe in it. It's like it's very much like the Wizard of Oz, right, and the Wicked Witch and the Wizard of Oz. If you don't believe in fear, it just dissolves. And this is the work of letting go that we have here. This point that we're in now, this energetic point, right, which is a general energy for everybody, that occurs if you're in a divine incarnate role in existence. It occurs within you. This point occurs within you as you go through your life. Like I say, you hit this high repeatedly to abolish the dark within your own personal human experience. But this high that we've hit right now, amongst the many that we've hit previously, this is bringing the whole of the human race out of this experience of the dark. Right, and the thing to be mainly let go of is the belief that fear has any power over us. Not the things that we're fearful of themselves, but the fear that they have any power. Because once we all firmly believe that, they won't have any power, right? Because you show them a mirror, right? It's the machinations of the dark. It's the manipulations of the dark. It's not the truth. It's only manipulation. It's like the governments that manipulate, right? Say, for example, you've got one of these governments that are telling you you've got clean water, and then it turns out for like decades they've been allowing a corporation that they're getting a backhander from to pollute the water, and that letting it go. And there's people that are living there start to mutate, which has been a human experience. The lies that were told, whatever lies that were told around that were believed, right? This is the manipulation and the machination, okay? So what's happening with the human experience is, as we move through this dark arc of experience, right, and coming into the light on the other side, is that it's all about non-belief of it's about not believing that government, right? It's not like blindly believing the government anymore when they tell you things, right? It's more about questions. This point, this energy that we're in as well, this is also representing end times. It's representing the event. These are all just words that are the same thing. They're just ways of describing. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. So this is coming out of the dark, right? And the reason I wanted to just say that is because this dawning of the age of Aquarius, this is the mind Aquarius, and this is a free thinker. And this is liberation, right? So we are liberating ourselves as a human race from the dark machinations and manipulations. All right. So say, for example, you were fearful of holding the government accountable because governments look after people, and that's what you've been told. This is coming out of that fear. So this is like why we have a lot of things arising now around people holding a mirror up, to the politicians and the corporations and everything else in existence, the patriarchy, the religions are holding a mirror up and they're saying, well, hang on, how good are you? How good are you? Because look, you do this thing, this isn't good, so how can you call yourself good? So this is how it's happening, you see. It's like people not being scared anymore, basically. That's the dawning of the age of Aquarius. But this is a human experience that we're having as a whole, facilitated by divine incarnate energy, promoting this experience through fueling the change of energy that exists within all of us from dark to light. So it's a dual experience in that it's an energetic, but it's also a physical experience that we're having. All right, so there's that as well. So I just wanted to say that because it is relevant. But also this, this point that we're in right now. So it's also this point of energy that we're in right now is the energy of the event and end times. It's the energy of ending the dark. So every time we hit this kind of energy, it becomes vaster and wider and more stable. All right, because as we're at a tipping point from masculine, warlike, harmful energy, when it's only in its, when it's in its, what's the word? Saturated, right? When we are saturated with masculine, this is what we have: war, disease, pestilence, 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Because there's nothing to stop it, right? There's nothing to temper it or to monitor it or to hold it accountable. We're at a tipping point now between the masculine and the feminine, and we've reached a stage of perfect balance within those two energies right now, incarnate. This is the energy of the end times because it's again an opportunity of us to rebalance, right, energetically what goes on Gaia with the human race. Okay, so it's an opportunity to redress the balance and bring in more feminine energy. And it's not just an experience of letting go of the fear, right, for humanity itself, but letting go of the fear in your own life for divine incarnates, because as I've said, you're not here to just live within the matrix on a steady line of existence. You're here to experience what we are going through energetically that could be described as the end times, the event, the dawning of the age of Aquarius, through your personal arc of trajectory, right? So when you as divine incarnate are in this energy right now, you are going to be asked, if you're not having a miracle experience or a destined experience, you're going to be asked to let go of fear, right? So it could be that you're being asked to let go of fear within, well, any realm of your personal existence, basically. Choices coming up, destined choices. So now, this is another thing to say, right? When you have a choice come up in your life, if you're divine incarnate, you have a choice come up in your life. You're going to have choices that come up, and they are going to be to choose fear or love. And I mean, when I say love, loving yourself. I mean, because this is also creativity, the feminine energy. It's going with the flow. All right, following your heart is the same. Going with the flow, following the heart. Those two things are the same as letting go. All right, within following the heart is letting go, because the only thing that you can let go of that is facilitated by your divine incarnate experience is letting go of fear itself. So within this moment in time that we're in, that could extend another 3.5 weeks, I don't know, maybe longer, whatever. I think 3.5 weeks, I'm getting 3.5 weeks from somewhere, is divine destined choices. Now, you have to understand, right, that your choices are also destined points, choice points. So no choice that you have to make that comes in around whether you're going to follow your heart or whether you're going to stay in fear and a sense of lack is, in fact, a random event. And it is not, nor is it a, they're destined choices, right? So again, it's still a destined choice that comes in. So the choice is not going to be made by your ego. Once you get to the height of your arc of experience, if you're down here on your arc and you're still in ego and fear, then your choice, your destined choice, could well be made from your ego, right? So you choose fear. So say it was an example, your soul brought in for you the choice of, okay, what are you going to do? I'm giving you this option now. You can either stay in the job that pays you a lot of money, that you've had for years, that you don't particularly like, that keeps you tied to the one place, where you felt like nothing's going on in your life is humdrum or whatever, and but you got a roof over your head, you got money in the bank, you got food in your mouth, you got clothes on your back. I'm going to give you the choice now. Your soul is going to come in and give you the choice of, you can stay there, choose that, or I'm going to give you the choice of packing up, getting on a train, a boat or a plane, and setting off on a journey into the unknown to have an unknown experience where you do not know what that's going to be like, right? And you've got no way of knowing how that will turn out or how it will be in the moment of it, and you've got no way of knowing if you'll survive it, all right? Because remember, this unreal experience we have is this belief that we only have from birth till death, right? So the fear could well be coming down here on this arc of, well, what if I die when I'm away? What if I get run over by that train or fall off that? What if that boat sinks? This kind of stuff. So that's one of the fears, because remember, it's a birth to death experience you think you're having down here on the arc. So you could have that fear. You could also have the fear that, say, money is really, really elusive. Money is not something that is easy to come by. Money is like, if you give up that job, you won't know when money is coming from, and that's your driving factor there. You could have that fear. You could also have the fear of well, if you look at that more closely, there's probably really not fear of money at all, but a fear of self-worth, a fear of not being worthy of a life that is of abundance, where you are provided for. Again, it's a belief in the birth to death experience. What do they say? It's a fear of death or taxes, sex, death or taxes, right? So which is really, the sex is a fear of getting old. It's a fear of one day I'll be old and I won't be able to have sex anymore, right? And the fear of taxes is a fear of, I'm not worthy because I won't ever earn enough. I'm not worthy to be provided for by this realm, this earthly realm. And the death is just a fear of fear itself, basically. Like inertia comes from that fear. So down here on that arc, you might still be functioning from your ego, and you're going to go towards the, oh God, no, I'll stay in the job. I'll stay in the job. No matter how much your heart is telling you, take that leap of faith. That's what they mean by leap of faith, right? Is to leap towards following your heart, because following your heart is of a feminine energy and resides on this side of your arc and the arc, which is the light, right? Which is the truth, which is the love, which is beyond the veil, which is that we are a higher self within a human framework, and that we don't really exist at all. So there's no fear to be had. All right. So, but down here on this experience, you might be saying, no, I'm going to stick with that job. This point of energy we're in right now is going to offer up choices around following the heart again. And every time we hit this energy, because you're a divine incarnate and your life purpose is to abolish the dark and to move into the light and to take the rest of humanity into the light by following your heart and being a mirror to everybody else's experience and showing them what happens when you follow the heart, that only good can come from following the heart. You're going to be presented again and again and again with this energy, and within your energy, before you have, well, you might have some miraculous synchronicities in this energy as well. A lot of them, in fact. But you will also have this work of your choice, your destined choices of what will you choose. Will you choose love or will you choose fear? Will you choose to love yourself enough to make the choice to follow your heart? Or will you choose fear, and a fear of having a fear of having a lack in your life, right? You've got to remember, nothing here on this side of the arc is real. It's all fear based. It's all dark machinations and manipulations, and it comes through human experience. It's perpetrated through a human experience in others. It's perpetrated by energy itself. But it is your divine work to abolish this within yourself, within your life, and as part of a mirror experience for the rest of humanity that comes next and that's already in existence. So you can see that your work, therefore, is a divine work, right? And you can see that you have, now it should make sense of what you experience on this side of the arc. And it should make sense of why you experience it, right? And these choices, right, that are around fear or love, will go through many versions of that choice until you've let go of all the fear. All right, so you might have that choice down there on the arc, and then it might appear a bit further up, the job or the travel, right? The job or the leaving. And until you make that choice, you will be presented with it over and over again, right, in a myriad ways, until you choose love and you follow your heart and you leave the job. So that will keep presenting itself. Same with like leaving a property behind that you think is giving you security. Same with like maybe leaving, for some it will be leaving a relationship that might be giving security, or you feel gives you security. The familiar, leaving the familiar and going into uncharted territory basically in your life, because the familiar is what you've had here, which is dark experience, right? The unfamiliar, well, just to say, the unfamiliar is going to be, as soon as you choose going with the heart and going with the flow and love for yourself, freedom for yourself, you're going to experience from this side of the arc. So you are going to bring in experiences of a higher nature. You're going to bring in fifth dimensional, direct experience, right? Without having to meditate and go off into la la land and out of body experience, which once you get on this side of the arc is a nice thing to do, but it's it also becomes easy to do. It's also pretty much full on. But your actual living real experience of this world, or what appears to be real, right? Your experience of the matrix becomes a fifth dimensional experience. So it becomes functioning as your higher self. So it means that you're able to then, you've got to remember, you're divine incarnate. You are therefore you have gifts, whether you've realised them yet or not. You have gifts of claircognizance, clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience, either all or some of them, a combination. You have those, which means that you have always been able to read situations and experiences for what they are. You would always have been able to see the narcissist in the room, right? You would always have known what is in a basic way right or wrong, i.e. what is serving in love and what is serving in fear, anger, hatred, resentment. All right, no matter who told you, because remember, this experience, your personal experience, is a general experience. So no matter who told you what lies that you should believe, you could see through that. That's because you have a combination of one of all of those abilities to read. That's why they call it reading, to read between the lines in situations, okay, and in people. to read the narcissist in the room. So what lies on this side of the arc, when you make the decision to follow the heart, is to be within your frame of reference, your own personal frame of reference, your higher self and physical incarnation, and able to therefore never doubt yourself in reading that between the lines, right? Not only to be able to read the narcissist in the room, but to be what you outwardly present on this side of the arc is a version of yourself that is beyond touch to the narcissist. All right, it is it's an unthought out energy. All right, so it's like they can't touch you because you're in this energy. It's an energetic state. All right, so I'm not talking about having to have boundaries up against them and think about them and put up defenses and, you know, be in a sense of fear or panic about them. I'm talking about they just like, they might even be circulating around you, but they won't touch you. They energetically are not able to touch you. All right, it's change in your energy that facilitates a change in what happens to you in the physical realm. When you are liberated from your fear. Do you remember I said back here, fear itself is the main fear. So, a fear of a narcissist would mean that you are still in fear. A belief that, yes, they exist, but I'm not going to be scared of them because I know what they are, changes your energy and facilitates you being on this side of the arc and them not being able to touch you. Because remember, everything is not real, really. It's only what is the energy coming through things that makes it, and that's what it is. So energy changes energy. All right, so you facilitate that. By letting go of the fear, you facilitate that. So every time you choose to follow the heart and follow love and love yourself more by doing that, you facilitate your experience on this side of the arc. Now, as you hit these points of energy where you have divine choices coming in that aren't random, all right, they're engineered by your soul, so you can make a decision based on love. So just always do that, because the sooner you do it, the sooner you've tick off that lesson and you've done that, and you don't need to do it again. So follow your heart. Then in leaving the job, trusting that on this side of the arc lies abundance. Right? I don't mean like having to think about it, abundance. I mean, it just is. For an example, I moved into this house in November last year, and I've had to have builders in and to do the renovations, and I had a budget in mind, which I wanted to stick to, but obviously things escalate. The reason I'm here energetically is not how it appears on the surface. I didn't choose to come here. My guides told me I would come here. When I entered the house, I knew this house was a house I had to be in. I have to heal the house. The house is facilitating my energetic journey, all right, through the arc. And some of the things that have come up in the house are the things, I have my idea in my head, my egoic self, of how I want this house to look and be. But the things that I have to do in this house are a removal of dark energy. So, for example, there's been a lot of lead stuff in here that had to go. There's been a lot of dodgy wiring that had to go. All the costs are mounted up. Every time I go to my bank account is telling me I've got more money, not less. So, and I tried to work it out, do some calculations. How the hell can that be? And I can't, it's not possible to do a calculation. My guides won't allow me to see what's happening because the money's going up, not down. All right, so that's crazy, right? But it is. Money in bank account is going up, not down, despite costs going up, right? So on this side lies abundance, and it's not a thought out thing again, it's an energetic thing, because once you're through your arc of experience, you let go of all the fear. You've moved into a firm belief a firm belief of the truth that we are not human, that you are only merely having a human experience, and you are not tipping back into your fearful belief that your only experience is a birth to death experience, therefore you should be scared of death, and whatever happens in that experience, you reap the rewards of following your heart and living in the energy of only loving yourself and loving what there is to love in a physical existence, which is only the beauty of the physical world. Birds, trees, plants, animals, rivers, waterfalls, perhaps other humans that you encounter, and the generosity of spirit and the kindness, and also the gratefulness to your higher self, your guides, for the experiences that you're given, both good, both dark and light. Right, the gratefulness for both of them is paramount to this, facilitating your being on the side of the light, right? Because nothing can be seen as bad, only as experience. Therefore, again, facilitating your choice to move from fear to love and to only accept the choice of following the heart, right? Because you'll understand that we are merely having experiences of dark and light. So why choose the dark? Why choose to live in fear? Why choose a sense of lack? Why choose the security of or what appears to be, because remember, it's false reality appearing real, the matrix. What appears to be the security of a relationship where your heart is not involved, where the other person's heart is not involved, where there's maybe only a financial need to be there, or a sense of duty. This is a patriarchal, controlling manipulation of experience. This is not the truth. This is a lie. Why choose the experience of a job that drags you down? When they say dragging you down, what do you think that means? This is an energetic dragging down. Some people are literally lying on the floor, flailing around in pain because of the jobs they do, because of the lack of gratification from that job, despite the fact it appears to give them security, because they think that paltry amount of money that is giving them on that side of the arc is worth staying in that painful situation for. On this side of the arc lies freedom. There lies nothing but good experiences. There lies a healthy bank account, whether you've got money in there or not. I live in proof of it, all right? If you want, I can send you my bank statements. So what else I'm trying to say? So basically, in this point we're in right now, the choices that you make, that you're being asked to make by your soul, remember, nothing is random. Like I said, they're not like, oh God, suddenly I've got this decision to make. What shall I do? It's my decision to make. It's my decision to make. It's my ego's decision to make. Right? It's not your ego's decision to make. It's your higher self's decision to make. It's your higher self organising this for you so you can make the decision to follow the heart. Remember that. Right? It's not coming out of the blue randomly because, all of a sudden you maybe got the chance to go towards something that might be good luck for you. It's your soul saying, what are you going to believe? Are you going to believe in the fear? Are you going to believe in the love? Are you going to firmly put both feet into the fifth dimension by making this choice? Are you going to delay your event and your ending of your dark experience by making the choice to stay in the fear? All right, so this is what letting go is. There is all this stuff out there I keep seeing on YouTube, on Facebook. Well, I don't see Facebook, actually. YouTube. Letting go, all right? Nobody explains what letting go is. It's like it becomes some vague kind of spiritual bypass word that, I'll just say I'm letting go and everybody, it's like saying, I'll just say I'm letting go and then everybody will leave me alone, right? Because it means that I'm doing my work, my spiritual work. But you have to let go of the fear. It's not just, right? It's not just like, it's an active participation, right? You're divine incarnate. This is what you've incarnated for, to let go of the fear, right? This is not random. And these events will keep occurring, right? These choices will keep coming up until you choose to let go of the fear. right? So letting go is an actual work you do, just like everything else that you've experienced in your life that's been very energetic and not physical. Like I say, you're the people around you that are having relationships and they're, they have jobs that appear to be careers and all this kind of stuff, and you're just purging a lot of dark and light energy, and you feel like maybe 2 steps forward, 1 step back, right? 2 steps forward, 1 step back all the time. So the way that you will move forward, or appear to be moving forward life-wise, existence-wise, human existence-wise, birth to death experience-wise, is to go towards love. That's why it's always 2 steps forward, 1 step back until you go towards love. All right, so, and that's letting go of fear. When you make those choices, right, this is the active letting go. It's the making the choices that facilitate the letting go. Right, this is part of it. So that's part of it. Now, there's another thing as well, that is with this energy that we're in right now, depending on where you're at on your arc. You've got fear, love. So more of these experiences, right, are things like worry, shame, doubt, expectation, grief, loss. All these emotions, right, fearful emotions, right? So this birth to death experience that we believe is the only experience, the truth, right? That's a lie, because it's not the real. We expand beyond this, right? Within this experience, we have, because of the dark energy that you experience as divine incarnate on this side of the arc, a lot of grief, a lot of loss, around what has not been had within this experience, right? I've never had, you could be like, I've never had a proper love life, or I've never had that relationship with the one that was elusive because they did the ghosting and they left, particularly in like what was formerly known as twin flame experience, this kind of stuff, right? You also have an expectation, you have pain around expectation, because where you maybe don't have that particular one and that experience of love and that expectation's never met, there's a lot of pain there. Within this pain, you also have like shame, personal shame, like, well, maybe I'm not worthy of love. I was always taught this is, and also you have victim again, because I was always treated like I wasn't worthy of love. So of course I feel like I'm not worthy of love. So there's pain upon pain upon pain with that, right? And then we also have doubt. Will I ever experience love? Will I ever experience what these other people appear to have before I die? And anxiety, I'm going to put here as well. Anxiety, PTSD from previous events. That's post-traumatic stress disorder. Also, not just post-traumatic stress disorder, like current stress disorder from heap upon heap upon heap of dark event occurring in life. I might also add here, and I will add, that divine incarnate, sometimes, not always, but usually, I'm going to say, will include the experience of what was formerly known as twin flame. So this means you are not here alone going through this experience. You are connected energetically to one other, above all others, right? So it's like you'll be connected to a lot of other, well, we're all connected, we're all one, right? But what this other one you're connected to is to facilitate. And this facilitating this experience of balancing masculine and feminine energy and moving us all, the whole of humanity, through to a feminine energy. That's really what was formerly known as TF experience is in Divine Incarnate, is a facilitating of moving from masculine to feminine for all of us, because the purge that's brought on by the experiences that you have is facilitated by the connection to this one significant other. So it's all the lack, right, around love. Significant. So where you're connected to them, they bring in the work for you of, significant events in your life occurring that are going to make you purge more darkness around the grief and the loss, the expectations not being met, a traumatic stress disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, shame, that one I was talking about a while ago, which is the right to exist, and victim, and all this. I mean, that's not even, probably that's just touching the iceberg, really. Also, where particularly I'm talking about anxiety here, you're going to have also, this is twofold. We have twofold experience where we have two connected, right? And you're going to also experience, when we talk about dark night of the soul, right? You have a feminine dark night of the soul, which is all about lack of love. You have a masculine dark night of the soul. As we change at these points from masculine to feminine, and we're bringing more feminine in, we are abolishing masculine energy, right? And there's a lot of anxiety experienced by divine masculines in this experience of changing from a masculine to feminine energy, because as you rise to power in your feminine, right, as you achieve as you go through your destined choices at this choice point, say, that we're coming in now, where you might have destined choices coming up, i.e. they'll keep replaying until you choose light. That's why they're destined. So you'll get them coming in repeatedly until you choose the light. As we have this, right, you're also going to have, this is like your dark night of the soul, basically, dark night of the soul, until you choose the light, and then you're in the light and you're through your dark night of the soul. The masculine dark night of the soul that's in existence is a different thing, because the masculine dark night of the soul is a removal, right, of all their structure that they held, that held them in fear, right? So it's like they have lived by certain rules and regulations that are based around human expectations placed upon each other that come from this fear, this manipulations and machinations of dark energy and fearfulness. So they've been holding themselves accountable to what has been perpetrated by masculine energy itself. So for them, their dark night of the soul causes a lot of anxiety as they have to realign with the principles of the feminine energy in their higher self. So they, because they're giving up a lot of their, their kind of, what they believe to be their principal programming, right? They have to give up a lot of their programming. So they have to talk themselves out of what they believe to be true about themselves as well, but in a much different way to you. So their choices are not really the same, or brought in the same way. Basically, a lot of masculine energies go through narcissistic relationships with significant others that are not you, obviously, because you're divine incarnate, where they are shown the other side of the coin, right? So they're, say, a lot of masculine energies, divine incarnate masculine energies are very masculines. They're very male. Even if they're women, they're very male, and they're very kind of like, I'm in control, I'm in charge, and I'm like, I call the shots, and I'm strong and I'm capable, and I'm firmly in control of myself, and I know my own mind, right? And they can be quite controlling in that respect as well of others, because it's like I'm not wanting to give up their own personal control, so they over control. Right, so what happens to make them dismantle that programming, this masculine programming, is that they are delivered a lesson with a soulmate, which is a narcissist, which is a feminine, a masculine disguised as a feminine, which will be a trick, basically. So it'll be a trick that moves them through an experience of disintegrating their own control programming by being overly controlled by another. And it's just like a repellent. It's like being inoculated against their own programming, basically, by experiencing it, right, which changes them. It changes their DNA, their structural DNA, so they become something more feminine, so they can move on to this side of the grid or the arc. So there's a lot of programming being released, is what I'm trying to say. I've sidetracked myself, haven't I? What was I trying to talk about? Here we go. So when you get to this point of energy right here, right, this choice point that we're in, around, are you going to let go of the fear, or are you going to choose love, or are you going to stay in the fear? Okay, how many miraculous events am I going to have to show you in your life? How many signs, synchronicities I'm going to have to show you before you choose love? Your higher self will say. So again, it's going to be a time of synchronicities and signs. Like, here's another 1111. Are you going to move into love yet, or are you going to choose fear? So that's what they're for, those things. Or here's you running into your, the one significant one on the street out of the blue in a different town than you've been to before, right, where you never thought you'd see them, or somebody else, or someone delivers you a message, in the physical world, whatever. So this choice point that we're in right now, right, and choosing the fear and choosing the love. When you get to when you've moved, by the time you've moved through a lot of the choices, the destined choices that are on this side of the arc, and you've chosen love repeatedly, so you've chosen letting go, and you've left the job, and you've left the relationship, and you've left the fake security of the matrix, and you've moved into the space of following your heart, and through that as well comes, it changes your energetics. It changes your structure so that you no longer feel fear, all right? So you're not reverberating with fear every time you encounter it. So you don't get prickles on the back of your neck about words like demon. You don't get, because love is is stronger. Love is more powerful than fear. Light is more powerful than dark. And to abolish the dark, that's a belief that you have to hold firmly. Because if you don't, you'll still be in fear. So it's really, really important, and it's the truth, right? And the more of us come over this side and know that and believe that and understand it, the less power the fear has, and the more it will disintegrate like the Wicked Witch in the Wicked Wizard of Oz. It will just melt away. It's a belief, you see. It's an energetic thing. So you go through all these lessons on this side of the arc, and by the time you've gone through all of those lessons, right? Because you will go through them all, and you'll be presented, like I say, until you make those choices, and then you're able to enter this space. When this energy comes in like this, now, what this space you'll be entering into is letting go of anything else that is still relevant, that's based around fear, because everything has to be thoroughly cleared. Especially talking about these TF experiences, right? If there's a significant one that you're attached to that has been the cause of pain in you, that you clear fear around, right? and you have a destined event on this side, which includes a reconciliation and a renewal of this in a physical sense. Because, you got to understand, this is all light over here. This is all light experience. This is where rewards are gained and justice is served. If a love exists that is truth, that is only prevented from existing in the matrix because of fear on this side, this love can exist on this side, because on this side there's only love. So that destined love can occur on this side of the grid, on the arc, right? So later on, when you're at the top of this arc and you enter this kind of energy that we're in right now, what's being asked is to clear. Everything has to be cleared, all right? So not only like the big things, like the leaving the job and the leaving the relationship and the forgetting about whether your legs are hairy or not and this kind of thing, right? And not worrying about your looks and not worrying about your bank account and all this kind of stuff, right? The big things. But also anything else, right, that comes through you. And at this point, when you reach the top of your arc, and the major purging will be over, right? So you'll be like out of that, the extreme highs and lows of personal, emotional experience as well. But you're still going to be held accountable by your soul to clear what remains, right? So there is still work of letting go in these points of energy for everybody that hasn't let go of everything. That is that's not freedom, and that is not clarity, and that it's not basically a reciprocal energy. Because remember, these points of energy that we enter, like this one right now, is 0 point. It's a complete balancing of a masculine and feminine energy where harmony exists, where there is no downpull from the masculine into fear, right? And there is no having to exit the human body in a way that is ungrounded to achieve a feminine example, right? So there is no feel the need to leave, right? Leave the physical, or be unbalanced in a feminine way. There's also no longing, no grief, no loss, no sadness, right? There's no expectation in this, right? It's just a present moment energy of feeling great, feeling fine, feeling calm, feeling at ease, feeling blessed. It's blessed energy, right? It's purity, sanctity. It's like sinking into a warm bath if you need a warm bath, smelling something really nice. It's the beauty of the physical world showing through the matrix, right? Because it's this balance where there's no fear as well. So really lovely things going on in the physical world, being able to watch the animals and the birds and the trees and all this kind of stuff. So your energy's been asked to reciprocate that, right? To facilitate your energy field being at one with the destined energy, which is still the work of letting go. All right, so it might be asked of you, for example, by, we talk about choices, okay? Destined choices. These are everything. There's a choice everywhere, all right? Because you could be asked. If you're connected to another one, right, that you've been harmonizing through that connection, you've been coming out of the dark into the light because of this connection. And the experience that you've had is obviously included a lot of grief and loss, remembrance of the past, right? that's been brought to you to clear. Remember, it's all brought to you to clear, but this is brought to you by them. Your choice could be in this time a choice of whether you are going to energetically allow this to take hold within your energy field. Because this, right, this connection you have with the significant one, this is not let go of. Right, everything else that's in existence, we're all one. Right, we're all one, but it's all the same. And it's all at a level that is of an experience that is not extreme in any way. So it means that, say, if you've got a lesson coming in or a choice about letting a relationship go and it's not this one, so it's someone else, it's a soulmate, you do that and then you feel nothing is untoward after it, all right? So it's not going to take you into extremes of pain, loss, grief, sadness. I don't mean a death. I'm talking about someone just like, you know, a friend exiting the scenario, because death is something else. We're not talking about that. Or what appears to be death. So, but this is like, I say, a soulmate leaving your life in one way or another. That's not going to have the same reverberating effect as this one that you're connected to, because this, although we're all connected, this is a significant connection to facilitate this process, right? So by the end of your arc, once you enter this energy at the end of your arc, what happens is this connection still has not gone. It's not gone away. It never goes away. It's unbreakable bond, energetic bond. All right. It might sometimes feel like it's gone away because you're through a choice point along your arc. For example, you made a choice to follow more love, and the tension eased up on the lessons that were being served by the connection, right? So the connection stepped back because you'd chosen love. So you were able to experience more love, more high feelings, more good feelings, until the next time the connection brought in another choice point or lesson, right? So what I'm trying to say is that by the time you get to this energy, when you're at the top of the arc and you've been through all the lessons, the connection is still there. The connection will therefore still deliver you a question. How are you going to feel about the connection? Now you're in this energy. Are you going to go back down to experience grief and loss within your physical framework experience? Or are you going to remain aligned with a complete balance of a masculine and feminine energy that is outside of you and stay in an energy of purity and clarity and truth? You see, the love that is the truth is the love that is not the drama, right? So it's not this purging of grief and loss and shame, and it's not the accountability, all right? The accountability, when we hold someone accountable for love, is the codependency, right? And the more you get, you're aligned, the more higher up you are in your arc and you enter this energy, these periods of this energy, the more you're able to see from within from your higher self, like we said over here. So the more you're able to witness from your higher self what you're being asked to do. So again, to get to the point where you're highly aligned with your higher self, well, not even highly, you're more or less, you are your higher self in existence, and to witness your process through this arc from your higher perspective completely, is at the same time you clear all of the former issues, right? Including you're facilitating here because you're connected, clearing this anxiety for the masculine energy, because I don't think I went into that, but you also experience the masculine dark night of the soul because you're connected, as they experience your feminine dark night of the soul because you're connected. So that's why they run away, because they experience your feelings as much as you experience your feelings. So when you're feeling all this early stages, all your grief, loss, even before it's even happened, because you're attuned to what was a victim status, right? So as soon as you encounter this person who's the one, you start to experience a fear of losing them. So they feel that straight away from you. And it's only again once you've cleared that they are able to not feel your feelings in that way. And then they also clear their anxiety. Oh, there's so much going on. It's all connected. I could go into that even more, but I won't. So basically, this energy, right, I'm just going to get rid of that one now. The thing to know about this energy is how can you reciprocate, right? How can you reciprocate with letting go of whatever is not a complete state of harmony and balance that is presenting itself energetically? And what lessons are being asked of you at this time that would facilitate you achieving that? Because like I say, you'll be delivered lessons all the way along, different things, but they'll all be about letting go. Okay, so the letting go is the choosing the going with the flow. Okay, it's choosing to follow your heart in certain lessons. It's also choosing not to worry, choosing not to stress, choosing not to let any fear get hold of you and make you worry or make you stress. It's choosing not to... where's my list of things? It's choosing not to believe the lies of the third dimension, right? It's choosing not to believe in fear. It's choosing to believe in freedom, to set yourself free from the drama of the apparent birth to death experience. And with that comes freedom from the ego as well. Okay. Choosing to... if you've not got major choices coming in, like moving locations, leaving jobs, which it could be, like I said, and you're further up the arc, it's going to be choices around the how you feel about yourself, any doubt as well that's going to present. Because when fear starts to lose its power, fear will mutate into other things. All right, so we talk about fear. It's an energy, okay? So it's not a one thing. It's an energy that exists, and it can mutate and appear in a lot of other things. All right, so the ego will always fear. It's what it does. It's always going to find something that it can be afraid of, because it likes to attack, okay, and make you stay in fear. So there's things that appear like fear that are very, very obviously fear, right? And they're the things to like laugh at straight away. So that's like when people use words like demon, or they try to scare you with I don't know, some people are afraid of like spiders or the dark or things under the bed, you know, that kind of stuff. So these are the very obvious things, the way it works. Have you ever watched Monsters Inc? That cartoon? Watch Monsters Inc, because that's a really good lesson in how fear works. It's a great movie as well, actually. It's very funny. So, yeah, there's the big things that are obvious. But when you're over these big things and you've seen them for what they are, you know, it's also, like I say, the corporations, the governments that it manipulates. It will mutate and it will creepy crawl down into like whatever it can. So it's even gonna come in through, say, any other, it will lie, all right, so it'll come in through any other lie it can get hold of. Now, I don't know if I'm explaining myself very clearly, but for example, nothing is cut and dried, all right? Like we say, masculine, feminine. Everything's made of both. So everything is made of the dark and the light. All of us. Even divine incarnate is made of dark and light. Right? But because these two things, right, dark and light, masculine and feminine, they're energies, so they're mutable, right, which means they're transformable. So infinity symbol, right, is the merging of dark and light. See how it goes back and forth? It doesn't, things in the physical dimension appear to be real because they are third dimensional. They have height, width and depth. So we believe them to be real. We believed in a fixed reality. Fixed, right? That things are one thing and they cannot change because the only reality is third dimensional, height, width and depth, right? That again is a lie from the ego, because the ego needs to survive, so it created that lie to allow itself to survive, right? That we live in a fixed reality where only the things we see appear real. The truth is that everything is energy, right? It's a dark and it is a light energy. And this energy is the reality. So nothing is fixed because energy is mutable and it's transitory and it's transformational and it merges and it blends and it changes and it can be one thing 1 minute and another thing the next. Right? So the part of the extinguishing this fear, right, it comes down, it's like a drip feed. It drips down into the minusculest of things. Because once you see through the big fears, that's not the end of it, right? That's merely like the illusion perpetrated by the ego that's kept everything going. You still need to extinguish anything that is not the truth, right? Anything that is not a belief that everything is mutable, right? And that the energy itself is all there is, right? Which is why anything can appear out of what appears to be a fixed reality. Once you're in that belief, once your belief is in the energy, the energetic principle of the masculine and feminine, and not in the fixed reality of the ego. Therefore, right, all fear, even the things that have dribbled down into like the smallest thing, the smallest worry, the smallest doubt of your right to exist, basically, as well. And the smallest, worry of things, because what will happen is with fear, it tricks, all right? It tricks you. So it's going to say you get over a fear of that, well, you've got these lessons, right? You've got the leaving the job lesson, you've got the leaving the relationship lesson, you've got the leaving the location lesson, various ones, all right? So say you get over the fear of the leaving the job and you move away from that job, and then you're entering it higher up your arc, and another lesson comes along and it's around leaving the relationship. So the fear will mutate and it will come in another way, and it will try and present itself in another way. So you've always got to carry on extinguishing the fear. Even once you've been through all the lessons that your soul is serving you. And, let's just talk about this narcissist thing as well, because there's a lot of lessons that come in on this dark route regarding other human beings and the energy they contain. As I said, everybody contains masculine and feminine. That's divine, incarnate, and others. And if you want to look at it from a psychological point of view, nobody really knows what a narcissist is. Nobody really knows how they're created, or what they are, or why, or whether it's a social thing or a birth thing. There's a lot of rumours and theories, but nobody really knows, looking at it from that psychological perspective. And the reason they can't pinpoint that is because everything is mutable, right? It's not fixed. So the energy inside people is not fixed, it's mutable. So it means that people can have different levels of narcissistic behaviour inside of them. It means that people can have different facets of narcissistic behaviour. It's not one size fits all, right? It's not cookie cutter. This is why they're always discovering new types of narcissists, do-gooding narcissists. I think they call them communal narcissists. So the thing is, for example, with the fear of narcissists, right? You've got a fear of narcissists, perhaps, because of all the encounters with them. That fear needs to be eliminated, right? So you will be presented lessons as well on people and what energy they contain, right? And the last lesson on people and the energy they contain is not, are you going to call this a narcissist? Or are you going to say that they're divine? Are you going to call it black? Are you going to call it white? Are you going to call it masculine? Are you going to call it feminine? The last lesson on this is, are you going to let go of that completely? And are you just going to let them be what they are and know that whatever they are is what they're meant to be? And whatever lessons you were served by them previously, well, you were meant to be served, so that you could finally come to the realization that we are not human. And we are just energy presenting through human framework in a non-fixed reality, and let go. So, your choices will come in many different ways, all right? Your work of letting go will come in many different ways. And it's all about letting go of fear in any shape or form that will come in. Recurrences of things to be fearful of might come up in this time that we're in. I once went through a very, very fearful scenario of eczema around my eyes. And I've noticed I can see the little spots of eczema around my eyes again. But this time I know it's fear that I'm seeing. I'm not seeing eczema around my eyes. I see fear trying to draw me into more fear. So that's the way I look at it, and then they just go away because they disappear, because this is not a fixed reality. This is one where we choose love over fear, right? And we choose positivity over negativity. That's also what masculine and feminine are. Masculine is negativity, feminine is positivity. So I just choose to disregard what I'm seeing, and it goes away. What else? I think that's it, really. I think I've covered practically everything I wanted to cover. Well, I didn't actually want to cover anything. I just found myself covering it. So that is it, I think. I'm going to leave it there. So basically, yeah, it's a very, very, very destined portal that we're in lots of ways. But miracles can occur. Your choices are important in whether you're choosing fear or love, not the choice itself. It's not the choice itself. So it's not the ego. The ego is not in control of either the choice that's been brought in, but the ego will try and control your decision by making you choose to be fearful of what you choose of the answer to the question. Right, your higher self will be offering you the choice so that you can choose to go with it, follow your heart. That's the answer. All right, follow your heart in this with whatever comes in. I just want to add, actually, that also when you get to this top point, right, of this arc of experience, what I've noticed is as you know, I work with people on this process, right? So I've been allowed, right, and part of my work here, part of the reason I'm incarnated in this way and going through what I go through is because I get to see a lot of this experience from outside of it, right? So I get to see it from my higher self, right? So it's like I get to witness my own process, and part of it is so I can put this information out, I think, and part of it is, I don't know, actually. I don't know, but I do. Now, I know that in this point here, when we get this energy, with all this destined energy right now, okay, is that I've been allowed to witness, right, my own destined choices. So I can describe this probably, right, from beyond my ego, in advance of that choice taking place. So what's really, I just wanted to tell you because it's so interesting, is that I know I have a choice, right, to be made. The choice isn't here yet. I've not been offered the options. There's two of them. I'm going to be given a choice. My choice will be love or fear. But I'm witnessing the choice that I make is not going to come from my ego. But the weird thing is, right, that I know this choice is coming in. It's not here yet, like I say. But because I've exited my egoic state so much, and I'm able to operate from my highest self, and this is in everyday situations now, which is reading the energy rather than seeing it from a physical perspective, right? That's all going on. I do that. So that's in people. So I no longer see people when I encounter them as a human being. It's an energy. I pick up on their energy and I muse over it sometimes. So I generally can. I'm able to distinguish, but sometimes I can't, and that's I find that compelling, right? Like this whole narcissist thing. This is how I understand this now, because I can read the scale, and I can also read people where it's coming from. I can read what it is that's important to them that makes them operate in a certain way, and where is the gap, because there's always a gap in the operating mechanism inside of them that creates this narcissistic split, right? Where I just find it fascinating, okay, energetically. So, so where I'm getting this now, this filtration through higher self of every experience that I'm encountering in the physical realm. And particularly for me in this point of energy, right, it's profound. I feel it, there's also profound is another word you could use. And how I'm feeling it profoundly is, it's sublime, obviously. It's really lovely energy. But it's also precursor, right? Because I can feel that this holds potency, this energy. Something's coming, for example, is another way you could describe it. Because it's like a still point, a 0 point, where you witness, okay, you witness your own letting go. Once you're at the top of the arc, you witness your own letting go. So maybe you experience what I'm experiencing in this sense of everything being energetic now and not being physical. But maybe differently to me, I'm not sure, I don't know, because I'm not you. But it's like palpable with expectation. Well, I don't have expectation, but it's like pregnancy energy, right? It's like expectant. So like I say, precursor energy. Something about to happen kind of energy. I don't know what I'm writing there. But basically, these choices, right? This choice that I have coming in, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what I'm going to choose. Now, you would think, wouldn't you, that if you know about a choice ahead of time, that you'd know which one you're going to choose, because your mind would be made up more easily, right? But because I've extinguished ego, which is my mind, there is no ego to make decision anymore. Right? Instead, what there is a complete balance of masculine and feminine energy, a harmonious balance. So it means I don't feel any of the pain or the shame or the regret or the sadness or the loss or the fear or the doubt or the longing, the want, the lack, the victim state. I don't feel like any of those things that are on this lower side of the arc anymore. I'm no longer purging any of those things away. I'm witness to the offering of them by my connection, but I'm not taking them up on that offer to purge them. And I have no fear anymore. Now the fear has been it's been what's that word? Dismantled completely to a point of energetically dismantled. So not only am I able to obviously see through the matrix now and witness it for what it is, the version that we're given, right, which is a fear for this lesson, this collective human lesson that we're going through in extinguishing fear. But I no longer feel the resonance of fear within my energy body, which again, it's disabled completely. I'm no longer tricked into fearing either. I do not fear. I'm not tricked into fearing the narcissist, for example. I'm merely compelled to like examine. And this is, I don't feel it in my energy system. You know, when you feel fear, you get like a little reverberation, your heart maybe, or your gut, or your back of the neck or whatever. I don't get any of that anymore. Nothing at all. There's a complete balance of masculine and feminine. It's harmonized, which when you get to that point, brings you a lot of power, personal power. because it means you can handle anything, basically. Anything in the physical world without going into fear. And I'm the observer, right? Because I've let my ego's gone. And I'm just observing myself now. A very interesting thing that's happened is I was guided to change my name to my middle name, so I'm now called something else here. And the old me, like my inner child, is the old name, and the new name is the new me. And the new me oversees the old me and protects the old me. The new me is my higher self, right? And my new me is looking on at the old me, wondering what choice it will make, basically. Because I don't know what choice I'll make, because I've got no idea. Also, another significant thing, so I know the choice is destined. This one, right, is not, like with all your choice points, it's about eliminating fear. But do you remember I said before, the destined event, right, that you have, which we would have called once twin flame reconnection, reunion, whatever, can only occur once all fear has been eliminated and you're operating from your higher self. Because these destined events, right, these connections, once these connections exist on the higher echelon side of the arc, the feminine side of the arc, they're not going to work through any corruption, right? So there won't be any of the old stuff involved. Pain, shame, loss, regret, sadness, manipulation, control, any of that. So it's like the reason I don't know what choice I make is because this isn't a choice, really. It's destined. So I can't know. Which really, you see, when you see that at the end, when you're at the top of this arc in this void of oneness, right, this 0 point, is allows you to also, if you can understand that right, understand that every other choice that you make as you're heading up this arc of experience it's only a matter of time until you choose love, right? Because your answer to the questions that you're presented with, will you choose love, follow your heart, or will you stay in fear, aren't really your conscious, egoic decision anyway. It's all guided by your soul to take you up to the height of your experience, where you are then going to be switched from a living experience of fear to a living experience of love. Right, so transitioning from an experience of living within the matrix and only believing in that fixed reality to an experience of living in this fifth dimensional post-event reality. Okay, so that's really what is going on right now. And now it's playing out in human form, right? So it's like what I'm experiencing, I get to see from above a human experience. That's the only difference to how I experience it, to how you experience it, perhaps, is that I can see it from beyond my own personal experience now, which is again allowing me to understand or see that I might think there's a decision to be made, or I might be offered a choice, but I don't know what I'll choose because I don't actually choose it. It's destined. So the egoic me would think there's a choice, but really there isn't. Do you see what I mean? Same as with all of everybody else on their way up the arc. You might think there's a choice, but really there isn't. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of until you choose the love. The other thing is, right, this arc of experience, when you're in this duality of this significant one, right, is all the way along that arc, when you're going through these feelings inside of yourself about this one experience, right, with what would have been called a twin flame, is that you're always being asked to choose between fear and love with what comes up inside of you regarding that experience. So until you get up here, right, and you've eliminated all your fears around everything and chosen love around all your big decisions that you're being guided towards that aren't really decisions because they're soul engineered by your soul anyway, and it's like when, it's just a matter of will you do it this time, will you do it this time, will you, until you do, is the purge that comes in around this one other until you just get to this point where it's cleared completely. So much so that there isn't any conscious, it's beyond consciousness. All right, so it's not tipping into this feminine, oh my God, I love them so, what am I going to do if they never come back? And then into this masculine, oh, I never want to see them again, they did this, and this, right? Because you perfectly balance and harmonise at a central point and everything's cleared, and then it's clear. But that process of that clearing, it doesn't just take you to where it's all just cleared, it takes you to where you've cleared your ego and you've cleared anything that's around a conscious fixed reality view of that connection, right? So that's the letting go as well, because you let go of whatever it is that you feel it should have been about, it should have come from it, it should deliver, it shouldn't deliver, all of that just goes till maybe all you are is like curious of what it could have, curious of it in a sense of an energetic way, just like you're curious of everything else in an energetic way, instead of attached to it in a human way. All right, so I'm going to leave it there. Hope that helps with this energy we're in. And lots of love. See you all later. Bye.